All right, you're on.
Where am I going with this? Are you guys seeing my screen?
Not yet.
Okay, then there's a command in here. Where is my share commands, Dana?
Should be down at the bottom of the screen. Like if you move your mouse, there should be a menu bar at the bottom. That should be green.
Okay.
Now it's
How about
working.
now?
Yep.
Okay. This is our third in our sequence of webinars. Very much appreciated, as far as Dana's office and all of Nate and Coach Owen's efforts to provide us this opportunity. I think most of our attendees tonight have been with us at least one, if not both, of the previous sessions. As we close out tonight, which will be somewhere around 6:45 to 6:50, I think we all want to address whether or not we would consider any follow-ups webinars. So get your ideas collected for that discussion. We are working in the top position or studying the top position tonight primarily. There's always room for discussion about what else is going on. I put this up there so you'll know where where all of my video capture came from in tonight's presentation. And I thought it fair to make sure that you see that date 2012. Obviously, we've seen a few adjustments in rules since that period of time. There's some pretty decent wrestling that goes on in these particular selections. As always, we want to focus on our four prime objectives here. Want to look at the philosophy of what is current in the sport, what's going on this year, what's going on this week, what's going on this month, and apply our rules appropriately, and then we want to critique our peers and critique ourselves in terms of our position and mechanics and how we go about delivering our service on the map. So looking at I've got a little bit longer list than I've had in the previous presentations. If you want to kind of just cruise through that while I blabber a little bit, but yeah, we got a lot of things to look for when we're watching a kid wrestling on top. That request for neutral is a rule that's really changed the complexion of our sport in many ways. Just being instead of having to go to the optional start and then hard cut a guy or a girl, just being able to say, hey, I want to forfeit that escape point and start in a neutral position. And that's something that I think our bright up and coming officials have grown up with. It still haunts some of our old guard just a little bit in how to manage that situation. Looking at the end of the list there, there's, and you'll see a little bit of it tonight in how we manage blood time and injury time. We can get into a discussion of when choices happen with injury time, if that's appropriate. I included this, and I understand that this also goes with wrestling in the neutral and bottom positions. Maybe a noteworthy fad on the bottom for Jet and Jason and guys in your area would be, watching Aztec and their so-called Granby philosophy. There are other situations that probably we could point to, but in wrestling on the top, it seems to me like everything runs in cycles. Right now, tilt wrestling is the deal. And the question that I think both the rules committee and practitioners, our officials nationwide, are really getting better at all the time at diagnosing, when that danger situation is new, and I think very importantly in communicating when it's new. Leg wrestling, I think, kind of runs in cycles. We went through a rather extended cycle in New Mexico where it was popular to wrestle with both legs in and a power half. And so I kind of contrasted that to, when have you had enough of a guy being on top with both legs and a power half in, and everybody staying parallel and belly down. Looking at arm bars, and I would include anything that lifts an arm, whether you would call it a hammerlock or whether you would call it an arm bar, or, whatever your terminology is. When that arm's sitting up on the back, or when a typical arm bar is being run, parallel or perpendicular to the long axis, when does that become potentially dangerous and when does it become illegal? Cradles, I think, one of the mainstays of wrestling. Some of our schools in our New Mexico, El Paso region are really good with cradles, and some are not. I think the question there becomes our position and application as far, because cradles are hard to see in terms of both shoulders. So there might be some mechanical things to consider there. And then looking at 3/4 Nelsons, which, that fad kind of phases in and phases out once in a while. And really the emphasis there would be on diagnosis of potential danger. Certainly we want to look at control, if we get into a flurry that started on top, and then we want to qualify what it is for the top man, top woman to improve. Stalling is always both our friend and our enemy. Okay, so we'll take a look at this, and as always, I'll ask you, and I did get my slides updated this time. We'll just think about things that you notice, and I may talk through this some as we're going, and I may just let you peruse this a little bit as we're going too. So this is cadet finals in the National Folk Style Open, and it turns into a pretty good match. The kid in the light blue singlet on top right now is from the Dallas area. The kid in the black singlet on the bottom is from the Minneapolis, St. Paul area, wrestles for Pinnacle. You can see it to score right at the end of the first period. Texas kids ahead 4-2. As we're watching this unfold, I'm not sure, and again, I'm trying to be sensitive to our audience because we're all pretty experienced. Look at that arm come up. The guy's in good position. Doesn't need a huge level change there, but he's on a good corner to be able to see where that arm is. You may recognize the Texas coach as being a former New Mexico coach. But when we watch this start, I think for our younger officials, watch the hand on the elbow. Some of our people that come into officiating, this is going to turn into a head and arm. And again, this guy does a nice job with his position. He's not helping us much, but he's in good position to see that there is an arm involved in that. He's in good position to see the bottom wrestler, I think, very legally, very appropriately attack the top guy's head. I think the assistant's in good position. But anyway, back to my hand on the elbow thing. some of our officials haven't seen a lot of wrestling since they were in high school, and I think we may have to talk a little bit about that, where the hand can be on the elbow in modern wrestling. Okay, now we get to see the other kids start on top. You have back points and reversal there. I don't know. I know Paulson thinks he knows. Nice job with the shake of the head. Mechanically, that's really enough. Okay, so here comes our near fall. And the escape. I really kind of like that guy's mechanics. Okay. Trying to go forward here. I doubt that we're going to have time to go back through these situations again, but as you're going down through this, when we first tuned into this one, the Texas kid was on top with both legs in. It was late in the first period and the score was 4-2. Really didn't get to see anything that was both legs in long enough to need to address. I mentioned when the Pinnacle kid was on top, I mentioned the guy's position. When that arm came up on the back, it wasn't really there for a long time. I am one that wants to verbalize there. You'll have to come up with your own terminology. But I say to the kid, leave it on the back, don't lift it. And of course, what we don't want to see is that forearm come up off the back, which cranks on the shoulder parallel. The head and arm situation I thought was well handled. As I mentioned, I thought the guy stayed in good position. I thought the assistant was in good position, and I thought they handled that situation very well. Did anybody think maybe the Texas kid was pinned when he had his legs in?
I never saw that myself.
I did think maybe he was pinned, but as I said, the whistle did a nice job. I don't think you need big dramatic mechanics there, but the shake of the head answered coach's question. And that's one of the things that our mechanics are designed to do, is to answer a question, whether it's grandma in the top row or whether it's coach in the corner. If there is a question and we give it any kind of subtle answer, it just comforts them to know that we were engaged in the process. Coach Owen, I think you would agree with that. We're going to watch some tilt wrestling here, like a lot of tilt wrestling. The kid in red is from the Kansas City area, and the kid in the silver singlet is from Bettendorf, Iowa. This Hayes kid's not bad. Again, looking at our referee mechanically, I think he does a nice job being in position. I think he does a nice job starting his count, maintaining his count. There's one coming up right here where I'm not sure he's consistent. My answer is I don't know. He did not score 2 near fall on that. Had he scored 2 near fall, I would have supported him. Not scoring too near fall, I can support him. I think his position was good, and I think his mechanics were good. Okay, nice position, nice timing on the start of the count. Did not score it. His 3 is down. Decided when he thought it was new, and we couldn't see either of the guys' front hands on that, but he was in good position. I trust the call. This turns into a pretty ugly beating. Even though he chose neutral, I did not recut the film here. They're not going to be in neutral long enough to bother us. Nine zip. And Hayes kid's got some really pretty hips. 3 is down. When does it become new? All right, watch this foot now, and we'll see if he goes to the toe. Right now, this is really sound defense. He did award his 3 there. I think he's in good position. And I think you didn't see his hands, but that was a stalemate call, which I think was a very good choice at that point in the action. You know, I put that slide in there about current fads in wrestling. You know, right now, tilt wrestling is such a big deal. I think when we get to our meetings in the fall and hopefully to more of our face-to-face coaching sessions, you know, with tilt wrestling, position and anticipation for the referee is really critical. You know, in leg wrestling, you know, our position would adjust. This guy does a nice job getting in position to get that tilt scored on time. That one went stalemate. Does a nice job with his starts. He's easy. He's simple. We're back on that foot again. Maybe toe, maybe not. That's on the insole. And that is really about one of the only places he's got left to go. He's not doing a good job getting his hands free. Over the top. Guy rocks into position really nicely there. And he did score the 2. Okay, as we end there, let me get to my next slide. Now, I mentioned that early on in that, going out of bounds. If the guy had scored 2, I would have been okay with it. That was just a tight call. I think you can cancel that both legs in. When this goes into the third period, the kid in red changes his tactic and goes to both legs in rather than sticking with his tilts. And I know that came from his coach, you know, as far as just eating up clock with both legs in. We didn't really get to see that. Was he on the toe? I don't think so. I think the guy handled it pretty well. Understanding choice. I put in parentheses because it may or may not have to do with wrestling on the top. But you noticed that going into the third period, the kid in the blue or silver singlet was down 14 zip. What's he supposed to do? You know, he's getting ridden like a circus pony, and he hasn't scored on his feet. I think the guy's got to choose top. I mean, this is a national championship match. I think the guy's got to choose top and try to hit the home run. If not, the guy escapes and it's over anyway. You know, but I think that's something that all of our referees need to kind of appreciate more, be critical about, help our coaches, you know, understand certain situations. You know, this notion that you always got to choose down may not really be the best fit for contemporary high school wrestling. You know, and again, we're watching kids in the final of the national championship. They're pretty confident in their abilities to make their own choices. We're doing well on time. I've got 6:25, 6:23. This one gets a little ugly. The Bresser kid in the blue singlets from Oregon. The Schumann kid, I believe, is from South Dakota. There's my first question, and I may run this one back. I ran it back way too far. Let me correct that error. Okay, we did not get to see the first two periods of this. The score's 2-1, and clearly we're going to find out the kid in blue had a stall warning early. I don't know. But the teaching point on that one, and here we go, blood time. The teaching point on that one, I think, becomes that the entire match influences every call. You know what coach's question is here. That kid's in the middle of a switch motion. What is it you want my kid to do that's not stalling? If I'm just watching this 10 seconds of film, I can't answer that question. I think coach has a legitimate beef. Okay, I did watch the first and second periods. You know what? It wasn't that bad a call when you look at the complexion of the whole match. But ugly's just getting started. This is going to get a lot worse as it goes. That 3:37, by the way, is exhausted blood time. It is not anything to do with the third period. We're deep into the last minute of the third period. Okay, we're at 30 seconds. You're down by 1. I think our referee's gotten himself a little bit rattled. It took him a while to get in position there. He's still replaying that stalling call. Coach got in his head. That was a bad start. Yes, the referee's rattled. He's not sure what to do with this. So I got another question here. If, in fact, he stepped out, all right, blue's running his mouth now, so now it's 4-2. I'm gonna have an opinion about this. This is not the assistant referee's role or responsibility. guy's out of line. And he's not helping this young referee. So the correct score is 4-2. The end. The blue kid's going to shake hands and walk away on this. Good for him. We'll come back and look at that one again. So that first stalling call. As I said, based on the 10 seconds that I watched with you guys, you can't make that call. The guy's fighting a legitimate defense and is going to make a legitimate offense. Looking at the entire complexion of the match, we're in the third period and it's 2-1. We do know that the blue kid got hit for stalling sometime earlier, and it's 2-1. So we're dealing with ugly here. There's no doubt about that. I think it's our responsibility as referees to understand score versus time. As far as that stalling call being made and we went immediately into blood time, I don't have a problem with the timing of it because there's 30 seconds left in the match. The call at the time tied it up. The escape that came 4 seconds later made it 3-2, and the kid still has 26 seconds. At that point, I really don't have a problem with it. But we do need to know what the score is, and we need to know how much time's left, and we've got to be able to express, at least internally, we've got to be able to tell ourselves what our opinion is of this particular match. Has it been just a dogfight of great technique and both kids are that good that they can't be scored against? Has it been ugly? Have they been on the edge? Have they been chirping at each other? There's a lot of things that we need to process there. Mention that the bad start from neutral, it didn't cost anybody anything, but it does let us know that the guy on the whistle's rattled. You know, at that time, prevention is always better than cure. You know that blue is up against it now. So maybe that's the time when we adjust our mechanics and do step a little tighter in between them and get our arms a little wider for that new start. You know, that didn't cost anybody anything, but man, it could have been ugly. If the red kid's knee gets blown on that false start, you got a major problem there. We will watch it again. My question is, it ends up 4-2 on an unsportsmanlike conduct call for blue speaking his piece. Watching the entire match, just saying straight up, is this one of those times where we're better off to get another minute and let these two kids decide it? I let it go to a ride out. And I'm not telling you that's for sure, but I would for sure consider it. So we're at 45 seconds. Man, that's a hard call to make right there. 2-2. This is a national championship. I believe coach is saying right now that you're okay. He's going to question it. He has to question it. It's his job to question it. It's actually his job to take a warning for questioning judgment. Blood time's over. Two to two. No, blood time's not over. 2-2. This is back to that understanding choices. My opinion, Coach Owen, you're free to disagree with me. Anybody else that wants to. If I'm blue, I'm never getting on top of this kid right now. I'm gonna use my request for neutral and save the 3 or 4 seconds it's gonna take him to get away anyway. I haven't turned him. I haven't ridden him. I haven't done anything. I got to beat this kid on his feet. And blue had the only takedown in the whole match. Got a little out of position there. He's still thinking about that last call. All right, we're at 13 seconds. And we can't see the out of bounds line over here, but our referee's going to point to us for it. Retreat, retreat, retreat. There's a shot. He's on both feet. Backs out of bounds. I don't know. I believe I could make a case for it. This part really is poorly done. So I'm open to anybody else's, hi Elaine, I'm open to anybody else's thought process on this. Again, looking at the entire flavor of the match and realizing that it is for the national championship, I'm at least going to make a case for red fleeing the mat and putting it into overtime. Instead of doing that, all I do is pour gas on Blue's fire and maybe not cause, but maybe contribute to his display of unsportsmanlike behavior. Hi, Paul. So I don't know. I'm open to anybody's thoughts on that if now's the right time.
Well, even if there was a question of fleeing the mat and it's questionable, an option or an additional safe call is to hit the kid for stalling. I don't know if he had another stalling call earlier in the match or what the dynamics was before, but you could make an argument for stalling as well for him.
Jason, I could not agree more with that. And if we were to go back and watch the first period of this, you know, there was a takedown in the first period, but it took a while to happen. So again, us being in touch with the level of competition, the equity of the two athletes, what's at stake, you know, what kind of trinkets on the line for this particular match. You know, I think you do make a good case there. And based on that, am I likely to have a warning on both athletes that hopefully never becomes any more of that than that, you know, but maybe change the pace of the action as early as I can. If the kid did have a warning, you end up with the same outcome, you go into overtime. If the kid didn't have a warning, you know, maybe this, maybe that. I certainly don't know for sure, but I know it may have limited the ugliness of that a little bit. That's really the only, I do not have any real input. This is Aaron Pico when he was a cadet. And the reason I included this little snippet is just to be able to look at some hard cuts. You know, this is something that I think, again, knowing what trinkets on the line for this match. It is a national championship. You know, knowing who's who. I think, Coach Owen, did this Voss kid go on to wrestle for Minnesota maybe?
I'm not 100% sure. That sounds familiar, but I'm not 100%.
He's pretty good. You know, and then Pico just went on to become Pico. What a tragedy that is.
What's your thoughts on the referee's hair, Rusty?
I may dye mine.
I
Just had-
was thinking the same thing.
You know that mechanically, and I was I was in a leadership role at this tournament. I was the clinician, but I was not the head referee. Just knowing the chemistry between those two. I mean, the guy on the whistle did a pretty decent job with it. The guy that's the assistant is a really nice man. But as far as chemistry for a national championship final, I felt really lucky that Pico just disposed of this guy. And you know what? Pico never texts him. Pico rides him out like a pig in the third period and never texts him. You know, but yeah, I knew you guys had noticed that hair thing. But hey, you know, it's 2020, man. Keep an open mind. We are at 6:39, which makes me on time. If you guys want to go back and look at something, I'm happy to go back and look at it. Dana, certainly you want to look at your calendar on this. But if we do want to continue with this series of webinars, I think we have two choices in each of the 3 upcoming months. We don't have to do webinars. Dana, I hope this is correct, that nobody's going to tell us we can't do webinars.
That is correct. I'm encouraging, as long as people are willing to present and we have content, I'm all for it. Of the dates you have up there, let me just take a quick glance. I know for sure I cannot do July 6th. As of right now, all the other dates are good.
Okay.
So
Maybe we'll
we're
go with the-
absolutely willing to host, as long as you all have the content and the drive and desire to continue to have them. So we're in.
Yeah, I actually have toyed with some topics that may be poignant, you know, especially going into this season. You know, I think we could do something that involves protocols and administrative responsibilities and communication pre, during, and post match communications. You know, I think we could do, you know, some things with definitely the responsibilities and techniques of being the assistant referee. I think we could do a nice job with that, you know, and I think maybe we could do something, you know, that may entice newer members or members that are considering joining us as we close out September, and then we get to see each other in October.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So with Dana, you said definitely not the 6th.
Yeah, July 6th is the only one of those dates where I already have a prior commitment, but everything else is fine. And as far as, and Scott can definitely address this as well, as far as like the protocols go, we're waiting on some guidance from the National Federation. We just had an officials advisory committee meeting last week, and the Federation is going to do some protocols. They've already developed some for coaches and athletes, but they're going to do more in terms of officials that will tie in with what they're telling coaches and athletes for NFHS. So we'll probably want to hold off on the protocol stuff, but the other topics sound great. So, and the protocol for anything that's going on with the COVID pandemic, we can probably get a little closer to the actual start of the season, or if we are able to have the live state clinic in October, we can do it at that time.
Yeah, and when I said the word protocols, I was not even thinking about COVID specific. Yeah, I was thinking about more traditional protocols for our developing officials about what's expected in your pre-match meeting.
Oh, I
what's
got you.
Yeah,
I'm
what's
sorry,
expect-
I've got a one-track mind these days. I apologize.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. And but yeah, just in terms of what do you do when you're designated the head referee at the JV Bi-County Open or whatever it happens to be, those types of things. We all love to watch wrestling, but there are some administrative duties that we have to take care of as well. So,
Gotcha.
but what do you guys think about maybe just going with the later of the dates each month, and maybe going July 13, August 24, September 21. And that puts us approximately a month out from our whatever kind of state clinic we do have. Nod or shake. Are we doing something here, or is this a waste of time?
No, I like it, Rusty. I think we should continue on with this.
Hey, I just saw a name there that I didn't realize was in. Could you guys join me in congratulating our wrestling referee of the year, Mika Trujillo?
Oh, hey, thanks. I think I expressed to Dana in a group the other day from a bunch of the guys that I'm real humbled to have been nominated or even get the opportunity to have that, because I think
We're having trouble hearing you, Mika.
I've had a lot of good mentors, and I've met a lot of awesome people. I've worked with some great people on the past who have been nominated for that or to have received an exciting honor. I feel like as much of that goes to so many of you guys for just the time spent together on the mat. So I don't think that's something that you get by yourself. That comes from so many different areas, and I'm really appreciative, and I love the growth of the sport, and I'm get to work with such an awesome bunch of folks. So I'm honored and really humbled and really excited to have that. So yeah, thank you.
And I want to speak for all the different kinds of us. Elaine and myself, a senior official, Scott Copley is senior official, and then especially on behalf of Jet and the other guys that are just beginning to make us look smarter than we really are. Your work ethic and your open-mindedness and flexibility. Obviously you have talent, but you follow what Arian had to say here about continuing to get better and really taking it to heart. And I just think you do a great job representing all of us, and you need to know that you're appreciated. Does anybody else, Dana, do you have any housekeeping for us?
I don't at this point. I do want to once again thank everybody for spending a Monday night with us, and I'm glad to see from the thumbs up and the nodding and all of that you all are willing to continue with these. This has been really beneficial for our officials in all sports to have these webinars, just from the standpoint of staying connected with the avocation and staying connected with one another. And it's been good for me. I've been really trying to find silver linings with all of this pandemic stuff. And one of the silver linings is it's enabled me to be able to spend time with officials in every sport, which I don't always have the time to do during the regular school year. So this has been great for me to spend some time with you all in this kind of setting. And I know it's over a computer, but it's really been a good thing for me as far as that relationship aspect of officiating, which you all know is hugely important to me. So I appreciate your time and dedication to working on your craft and learning from each other and making this a statewide thing, because that bridging the gap between all the different regions with regional assigners and some of the cross assignments and evaluation. It's been great in the sport of wrestling, and I'm really excited to see how it continues to grow. And we've got some great up and coming officials who are really learning a lot from the mentors in the population as well. And it's really cool to see a new way of growing and developing as officials. So thank you to you all. My hat is off to everybody.
Coach Owen, do you have anything that needs to be on our plate?
The only thing I wanted to, I obviously share all of Dana's sentiments, and these have been great. Hopefully I can sit in on more as we go through the summer and into the upcoming season, just as far as what may happen in October. That'll be very fluid. There's probably a pretty strong likelihood that we may be in a virtual setting at that point as well, which leads me to, if there's an opportunity that you guys, we can get the officials and I can kind of maybe do a dry run on some of the rule changes with the officials, some of the things that we talked about in committee prior. If we are ending up in a virtual setting, that's, I'm more than willing to do that. That way we can, and then obviously you guys will always be, invited to the coaches meeting as well, if that is virtual as well, so that we're all hearing the same message. But, if you want to have that kind of a preface prior to the coaches, meeting, I'm more than willing to do that as well.
Cool. Anybody
Thanks,
else
Scott.
have anything for the good of the group? All righty then, we are at 6:49. I really appreciate you guys. You really are making the whole thing look good. It's there's a lot of up in our future. So thank you so much for giving up some of your time, and please say thank you to your families.
Absolutely.
Dana, I'm handing it back to you.
Thanks,
All
Rusty.
right. Thank you again, everybody. And certainly if you think of topics or anything that you'd like us to address for those upcoming webinars, we'll go ahead and get those scheduled now for July 13th, August 24th, and September 21st. So if you think of anything that you really would like us to cover, or you would like Rusty to cover, or if we want to do maybe a little kind of panel thing with the regional assigners, that's an option as well. So we've got a lot of different, different things we could do and approaches that we could take to doing these. So don't think any suggestion is not a good one, because our ears are open for sure. So I don't have anything else. Scott, do you have anything?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Well, Rusty, thanks for doing these last 3 webinars. We appreciate your service, and everybody, thank you, and stay safe, stay healthy. If you're here in Albuquerque, it sounds like it just started raining again, so stay dry. And we look forward to working with you this season, and we hope it's a season that we can look forward to. So thanks, everybody.
Thanks. Love you guys.
Have a great night.
Thank you, Dana. Thank you, Scott. Thanks, Rusty.
Thanks, Dana. This is Adam on the iPhone.
Oh, I was wondering who the mystery iPhone was. Thanks,
Have a
Adam.
good night.
Thank you too.
Thanks, Rusty. Thanks, Dana.
Thank you.
Scott.
Thanks again, Rusty.
Thank you, guys. You guys have
We'll
a great
talk soon.
evening.